You're watching NBA Now. Where will Giannis Antetokounmpo play next season? I want you guys to answer that question right now in the comments. Lots of news and rumors surrounding this guy. We're going to cover that, plus get into some mega trade ideas to some teams that could try and trade for the Bucks superstar. All that coming up right now on NBA Now. The latest surrounding the Bucks superstar is this report coming from Chris Haynes that he has met with the Bucks ownership about, quote, the future of the franchise. Clearly, he wants to know what the game plan is in Milwaukee to try and continue to build around him as they continue to chase a championship. Obviously, before the shutdown, the Bucks were playing great. Did not play that well in the reseeding games, in the bubble, and in the playoffs. Obviously, just got outed in 5 games. Clearly, Milwaukee does not have enough as currently constructed to compete for a championship. Now, Giannis has 1 year left on his deal. He is eligible for that 5-year, $254 million Supermax this summer, and it doesn't appear, at least as of now, that Giannis is looking to leave. This is what he said after the playoff series loss to Miami, saying, it's not happening. That's not happening. Some see a wall and go in another direction. I plow through it. We just have to get better as a team individually and get right back at it next season. This was on the idea of whether or not he would force a trade this offseason. Now, Giannis is expected to win his second consecutive regular season MVP. Did not play as well in the playoffs, so it's not just the team around him. He's got to lift his level of play too, but in his defense, Chris Middleton's not a true number 2. The Bucks have got to find a way to get him some more talent. Otherwise, he might demand a trade at some point. That we're not there right now. He's saying all the right stuff. He wants to be in Milwaukee, but things can change, and we've seen that among superstars throughout the last several years in the NBA. So I'm going to make this the pinned comment on today's video. Should Giannis demand a trade? Type Y for yes, type N for no. Let me know what you guys think. Should the Bucks superstar demand a trade this offseason? So we've got some Giannis trade destinations on today's video. I got 6 teams because all 30 NBA teams would like to trade for this guy, but we're going to focus on these 6, 29 because the Bucks can't trade for him. They already got him. Let's focus on these 6, though, and let's start with the Lakers because you guys seem to think it's possible that the Lakers can trade for the Bucks superstar. And look, in the NBA and all sports, we see this all the time. The impossible never really exists, right? Like, it is, you can make something work. Now, the problem is the Bucks are going to have better options. The Lakers don't have a lot of money to play with. They don't have a lot of draft assets, and they got to re-sign Anthony Davis this offseason. So it's going to be tough. This is what I cooked up, though. Giannis to the Lakers for Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, Kyle Kuzma, who would be the asset in this trade, and Danny Green to help make the money work. I don't think the Bucks would want him, but you got to make the salaries match up. 2021st and a 2022 second round pick. That's not going to get it done if you're the Lakers, but that's about as good as you can do because they got to bring back Anthony Davis. They're not trading LeBron. Good luck. I wish you guys the best, you Laker fans. Keep hope alive. I just don't think this is a very high possibility. Before we get into our next team here, I want you guys to subscribe. We're going to have all coverage of throughout the offseason, the latest rumors, trades, trade rumors, draft coverage. By the way, the draft has been rescheduled for November 18th. We keep changing our schedule here at Chat Sports because we are going to be live for you guys during the draft, during free agency, all of that good stuff. So go ahead and subscribe right now. I want to talk about the Boston Celtics because while they're gearing up for the Eastern Conference Finals, and I don't think they're looking to break up this young core, they have the assets to make a trade happen for Giannis. So I think they're worth talking about here. Young talent, lots of draft picks. That means they're a team in position if they want to trade for the Bucks star if they wanted to go in that direction. And Danny Ainge is a creative general manager who has been willing to do things like this in the past. Now, you look at this young trio of Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, and Marcus Smart. Obviously, Smart's not the star-level player the other two guys are, but he is a glue piece on the Celtics team. This would be a lot to break this trio up, right? And you compare that, you got Kemba Walker in the mix as well. All 3 of these players under the age of 26. Tatum at just 22 years old. I think he's untouchable. I don't think the Bucks would trade him. So I think what they would have to do is focus around a Jaylen Brown trade, the 24-year-old who really had a breakout year. So to make the money work, I did this. Giannis and Robin Lopez to Boston, Jaylen Brown, Marcus Smart to Milwaukee, a first-round pick in 2020 via Memphis, and then a 2021 first-round pick as well. That Memphis pick, number 14 overall pick in this year's draft. Who says no to this trade? What do you guys think? Type B for Bucks, type C for Celtics? I actually think the Celtics say no. I don't think they want to break up Tatum and Brown. I think that we've seen the potential this year. This is a team that may go to the finals. We'll see what happens in the Eastern Conference Finals, but I think in the end, Boston is going to keep their core and continue to build upon that. Got to talk about the Dallas Mavericks when we're talking about Giannis. GM Donnie Nelson wanted to draft him several years ago. Mark Cuban said, no, let's save $2 million and trade down and try to sign Dwight Howard. That really worked out well at the time. Instead, they did get Luka Doncic like 6 years later, so it worked out okay. But they've been linked to this guy ever since then because Donnie Nelson and the Mavs are probably the top organization at this point when it comes to scouting international talent. Like, clearly they want to bring international players into Dallas. They have Luka. They have Kristaps Porzingis. The problem is, while this is an opportunistic trading franchise because they haven't done that well in free agency, they don't have a ton of assets. So this is what I put together. Giannis to Dallas for Seth Curry, Tim Hardaway Jr., Dorian Finney-Smith, who has one of the better contracts in the NBA. That's not a lot there, though, for Milwaukee. Not like a young star in the making. And then a couple of picks, too. That 2020 first-round pick this year, by the way, the Mavericks could only trade it on draft night or after the draft. In other words, this would have to be a draft night trade and where Milwaukee, they cook something together. Milwaukee says, hey, draft this guy. It'll be part of the trade. So not very likely. Mavs don't have a ton of picks. That 2025 first is the next one they could trade because they have the Porzingis trade, so they're giving up their first in 21 and 23. Can't trade in back-to-back years. You guys know how that goes. Don't think it's super likely. It's fun to think about. It's fun to think about Giannis with Luka and KP, right? Who cares who the other two starters are at that point? I went ahead and put, Dwight Powell and Jalen Brunson in there. I think they would probably sign another shooter in free agency if that were to happen. The Mavs are always going to be linked to Giannis. If you're a Mavericks fan, you want Giannis to stay with the Bucks this year. Milwaukee to not play that well, and they won't miss the playoffs, but come up short again, and then maybe you sign him in free agency in 2021. I think that is much more likely than getting him via trade because there are other teams who have simply more assets than the Mavericks. So let me know, who is the better player right now? Is it Giannis? Is it Luka? Let's not be prisoners of the moment. The answer is still Giannis. Type GA for Giannis Antetokounmpo. He's the better player right now. That could certainly change, though, in the very, very near future. If you disagree, type LD for Luka Doncic. Now, we've got face masks available for you guys at chatsports.com/NBA mask. The NBA bubble has been very successful, largely because they've been wearing their face masks. Dwight Howard to the side because he does whatever the hell he wants. Chatsports.com/NBA mask. We got masks available for all 30 NBA teams. Solo packs all the way up to 4-packs. The 4-packs are the best bang for your buck. So go order today. That link is in the comments. It's in the description. Chatsports.com/NBA mask. Go ahead and get one right now. Let's talk about the Toronto Raptors because while they're not a splashy team, they're an under-the-radar team to trade for Giannis because, A, they're going to have cap space with veterans hitting free agency like Marc Gasol and who's the center I'm thinking of, the aging guy. I can't even think of his name. Not Siakam. Producer Brett's trying to help me. Former OKC guy. You know who I'm talking about. Anyway, they got aging vets entering free agency, and they're going to have some money. And this is the most important thing here. Masai Ujiri, their general manager, A, is really good at his job. B, he's got a built-in relationship with Giannis. They go back several years. So this could be an option for the Milwaukee Bucks and the Toronto Raptors to make something work. And I actually think this is not the worst trade right here. Giannis to Toronto for Pascal Siakam, OG Anunoby, 2020 first, and a 2022 first-round pick. The Raptors have money. Serge Ibaka, thank you, producer Brett. I don't know why I couldn't think of his name. I think that this is a trade that could work. Siakam and Anunoby are good young players. 2 first-round picks for Giannis. That might be close to the best you're going to do if you are the Milwaukee Bucks. Now, if you want to get more draft capital, maybe you trade with another team. But Siakam and Anunoby are fairly proven at this point, right? I know Siakam did not play well in this last series. Don't overreact to a 5 or 6 or 7 game sample size. He's a really good young talent. I think that would be an intriguing trade idea if that were to happen. A couple more teams here. The Golden State Warriors. They've been linked to Giannis for months. I just don't know if he would entertain this, right? Like, does he want to force a trade? And let's be honest, if he does get traded, that means he's told the Bucks, I want out, because they're not going to trade him unless they get word from their superstar that he wants out and they can get the most for him at that point. Do you want to go the Durant route? Because that's what this would be, right? Like, hey, get me out of here. I want to go to Golden State. That's very Durant-esque, and that would be very contradictory to him saying, hey, I'm not going to force my way out. I'm a guy who sticks with it, which the quote we showed you a few minutes ago. That would not be the best look for Giannis. Doesn't mean he wouldn't do it, but I don't think it's the best idea. This is the trade I put together. Giannis and Eric Bledsoe, because there's a lot of money involved here. Andrew Wiggins, Draymond Green, Jordan Poole to the Milwaukee Bucks, and then several picks there to make that money add up too. Because if the Bucks are going to take on big contracts like Andrew Wiggins and Draymond Green, good players, but certainly not superstars, they're going to want a lot of picks in return, especially since Jordan Poole is really the only young talent that the Warriors have, and he's certainly very unproven at this point. The Warriors lineup would be ridiculous if this happened. Curry, Bledsoe, Thompson, Giannis, who cares who the center is? Probably not even a center. They'll probably just go sign a shooter at that point. I put Kevon Looney in there, but that's just because he's the only center on the roster as of now. That core four would be excellent and would be a title contending team, no doubt about it. So where will Giannis play next season? I asked you guys at the beginning. I'm asking you guys one more time before we get to our final team here. Where will Giannis play next season? I still think it's the Bucks, but if you think it's a different team, or you can still type the Bucks as well, just go ahead and let me know. The Miami Heat is a trendy team when it comes to Giannis because Pat Riley in cap space. It's really that simple. And they've got young assets. Now, they don't have a ton of draft capital. That's going to make it tricky from the Miami Heat standpoint, but they've probably got the best group of young players they could trade outside of maybe Boston, who we talked about a little bit earlier. Giannis and Jimmy Butler would be a very interesting, intriguing dynamic under head coach Eric Spoelstra. This is the trade I cooked up because, remember, Miami's got young players. I think it's got to be a Bam Adebayo-centric trade if this is going to happen. So I got him going to Milwaukee, Tyler Hero as well, Kelly Olynyk to help the money work because he's got a player option for like $13 million. He's definitely going to opt into that. A couple of first-round picks as well. Remember, I mentioned they don't have a lot of draft picks in the near future, so 2023, 2025. And that puts together this sort of a lineup here where I'm able to keep Kendrick Nunn and Duncan Robinson, two quality scorers. Giannis comes in. I got Iggy in there, probably not a starter, but they have a lot of free agents, so they'd probably end up signing somebody. And then Jimmy Butler. That's intriguing to me. That is very, very intriguing. Now, Miami, like Boston, who we talked about earlier, gearing up for the conference finals, right? Like, they're a series away from making the NBA finals. So a lot of this could depend on what happens in this series as to whether or not they feel the need to go make a splashy move like this. It would be a lot to give up Tyler Hero and Bam Adebayo, but if you can get Giannis, that might be something Miami considers in the end.